that's kind of cool about it is once you download the sound, right, the sound's yours. So after you download it, I mean, however you want to manipulate it is kind of up to you. I would also recommend, of course, that you know you give credit where credit's due, especially if someone worked on a complex sound. It's important to highlight that. All
Um,
right.
yeah, so yeah, they use free. My students here use freesound.org. Is the site that I showed them just because it's the free option. But yeah, Splice sounds it's a great community for sharing
Yeah,
and
that's the other thing
valuing
is
sound.
that
You know.
um, you know you want to be able to have a forum where you can get insights back and forth and ask questions and get a look into people's process, because one wonderful part of this whole thing is like I was saying, it's like it's not as straightforward as like everyone makes their own art the same way. There's so many different tools out there. So this is another way where, let's say you've heard a sample on Splice and you go, oh man, what effect did this guy use, or this person used to actually get it in a way that makes it so that I want to potentially use that effect. Well, you have the artist info there. You can just take and email them. And like myself, when people do that, I'm always willing to just answer a question or two. I love to dork out about what kinds of sample libraries were used to create a completely different sample. So yeah, that's what I would suggest there.
Cool.
Um,
Nice.
in terms of actually getting in there and manipulating something, I'd love to just take maybe about 5 minutes and screen share something with you guys. Great, that's what I'm looking for, because you won't be able to appreciate this. If I know most of you guys aren't wearing headphones, but it might be nice to just for this small section of it, take a listen to something that would be in headphones.
Yeah, if you have headphones or earbuds, guys, throw them in for this.
Just give me 1 second. I'm queuing up the program here. I'm going to stay in my sort of realm that I was in here with this last project that I was working on, because it has a lot of sound design. Um, so I'm going to start with something that's a very, very simple track. It's got nothing on it in the way of plugins, just a guitar. It'll work if I try this again. Now that I switched the output, this should be better.
Here's something. It sounds like rain, or maybe that's just.
That's
I was,
my fan of my computer.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay, I hope the quality is okay. So this is just a simple guitar track, okay? Now what I can do within this track is pull up a plugin, and I'm going to take and just solo this track that the actual plugin is on. All right. And so it's acoustic guitar, and then within that, I really have that ability to manipulate, to make you care less about the fact that it's a guitar track and more about the fact that you're working with. You can still hear me talking, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. More about the textures of it. So there's less about guitar, and in fact, I can actually take my first off, make it sound a little bit more stereo. And here's the guitar, but here's what I really want. so now really, even though yes, this is a guitar track, I now am in this sort of world of sound and depth. All right, so that's just a real cut and dry example of just adding one plugin, how you're taking the emphasis off what the track actually is originally, and then making something new out of it. So
So that's a Enigma plugin, and Always Rising is the effect.
yeah, well, the Enigma is the plugin, and it's part of Waves um, Wave Suite. This plugin, I believe, costs $20. You know, and if you get it as a part of the many of these deals and bundles, like they're going to have a crazy sale over Black Friday and Thanksgiving. I mean, for plugins, like that is the time to get them. They're ridiculously cheap. Another thing that we can do is we can take and take a small little sample of a track, right? And I'm just picking a very small little bit here. Um, and I'm going to take that. And as I get in more and more, there's our little section. And manipulating that, now I've made a little waltz out of it, right? Okay. And then maybe you would say, I'm just going to add a couple little crossfades so we don't hear that click because that's kind of annoying. And then it becomes something like this, nice and smooth, right? Okay. Then we could take that and use that as a baseline for our, maybe something that we have in mind completely different. What I did there was I just consolidated the region to actually make it into something that is ready to be sampled. And since we're in grid mode here, which every DAW has this version of this same thing, then we're able to take and make it into this nice sort of part. So now we have, right? And we say, oh, well, we don't, it doesn't really connect too well, but that's okay. We won't worry about that now. And then we can take and again, now we're sort of like taking a lump of clay and we can sort of start to shape it, right? So that it has really less to do with actual guitar and more to do with what kind of sound we'd like to have it done to it. So I'm going to pick something that is going to really, do something quite different to it. And I wish I could have it be a little louder for you guys. Now all of a sudden we went from this beautiful sort of acoustic guitar to something that might be more appropriate for Nine Inch Nails track or something. Okay, and then we can manipulate it on the level of adding sort of sonic. We're shifting the bit rate, but then we can also do things like um, take and actually make it become. I'll show you here, like with a replacement. Hopefully, this will load up for me. Maybe, maybe not. I was trying to. Oh, yep. Yeah. Then the subscriptions aren't there, so then that's fun. All right, let's try a different one. I really like this one, sci-fi.
Nice.
And then as you sort of play with this stuff, you can see how the possibilities with it really
It's a
do.
nice little waltz.
Right, exactly. So maybe I would take and make one with the sort of the lower kind of sound, and then I would take, and now that I have it like sort of all spaced out, one with the higher sound, and then we have something like this. And then maybe you say, well, that's all cool. Like that's the beginning of sort of what I'm doing. I'm going to take that whole thing and use that as a track, um, and figure out, really, I'm making a song now, or making a sample within something that has very very little to do with what I started at. Right? It's sort of like just throwing some paint on the canvas, or even better, just not worrying so much about, oh, did I play that guitar right? Did I have that work? I like using, for example, this like Abbey Road. This is like the reverbs from Abbey Road. Right? Okay.
How much was Abbey Road filter?
This one's cool because you can actually move your microphones. Like if you want to move the microphones back, you want to move things in the room. You see how I'm moving? You can see this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You move things in the room around. You can choose different like places.
Wow.
Uh, you know, this one I think costs $500, but you know, to be perfectly honest, there are other ways to get your hands on these plugins. There's a lot of ways. For example, educational discount. Um, there are sharing them with friends is perfectly legal. So if you know someone that has them and are really interested in them, so there's a lot of ways to get your hands on this stuff. I absolutely have never paid full price for any of these kind of things. It just doesn't make sense to do it. We don't live in a world where that makes sense. So that was my little sample there. I hope I didn't take too much time with it,
No,
but like
that's great. That's
in
great. I
my
think,
world, it's like I might save this now because I think I could do something with this,
right?
and just how that works. I wasn't trying to really create anything, but I ended up saying, well, this is something that I kind of like. Maybe who knows.
Hmm. It's really
Yeah.
cool because that's just a sneak peek into like what we do as far as sound art. It takes me back to many a session Jay and I've had here there at the studio, just exploring sound together. So thank you for that little adventure. I really liked it.